Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another special session with the older man. Today, my friends, I got a new guest with me, Brother Lawrence.
Good afternoon. It's
Yes.
great to be here.
Oh, you hear that deep English accent there, huh? Well, nothing sounds sexier than a British black man accent.
Apparently, this is the case.
All right, so we're gonna have some deep discussions on life from Lawrence, and pretty much we're going to touch on everything from going through your divorces, we're going through some professions, some world traveling.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about all the things men should be doing or should not do.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
More importantly.
Should not do. Right, exactly. That's what this channel is about. This is where we learn from each other, guys. This is it. Simple. Of course, subscribe, my friends. Check out the merch store. And of course, if you ever need any help, make sure that you book a session by logging into askanolderman.com. Yep. And I shouldn't forget, join the membership system. Come on over there and, hang out with like-minded people. All right. So I'm going to keep it short, keep it sweet, because I want to get into what this man has to say. So, bro, we met in the gym.
We did.
Yeah. One thing about meeting other black people, we always acknowledge each other. Yeah, you find that
it's just that nod of the head. It's like,
yeah, man.
I see you, brother.
I see you. I got you, man. I got you. And I think that's more prominent when we are outside of our own country more than anything else.
Yeah, it definitely comes to fore.
Yeah. I think it's just a feeling you get like, you know what? He got me, man. I got him. He got me. And, the brother is fit as hell. How old are you now?
I'm 53 now, actually.
53.
54 in February.
Yeah. So, 4 years behind the older man. Yeah, boss. So we're there, man. We're there. I find now that it doesn't matter whether we're black, white, brown. Once I identify a man in that 50-year-old, when he starts showing some gray, it's like you and me, buddy.
Yeah, we're in the same club.
Exactly.
You get it. You know what's going on.
Yeah. I know what's going on, man. So it's gone. For me now, it's transcended from just color.
Yeah.
It's just that, we know we're here for each other right
Absolutely.
now, man. Yeah. So, brother, you came, let's talk about your origin.
Okay.
Yeah. So I know you're born in the UK.
Actually, I wasn't.
Oh, you weren't born in
my My brother, who's a year older than I am,
right.
He was actually born in the UK. I was actually born in Ghana. So I was born on that cusp of what they call the age of Aquarius. So I was born bang on 1971.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was born in 1971 in Ghana and spent most of my youth years in Ghana, but relocated to the UK when I was 12, 13 years old.
Right.
In fact, there was a period of time before that. So a lot of my family were in the mining industry in Ghana. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but a lot of Ghana is all about gold, tin, bauxite, all those natural resources. And as a result, a lot of Ghanaians, or in fact people from West Africa, actually went to the UK to study mining down in Cornwall. Right.
That's stuff I didn't know, man.
Right. So one of the premier mining engineering schools is actually Camborne School of Mines. It's in Cornwall.
Okay.
So as a result, a lot of people were traveling from Ghana. So the first time I actually went to the UK, I was 4 years old.
Right.
I have quite a lot of memory of it. My brother and I, we were the only black boys in the town down in Camborne, and
right.
We lived there for a couple of years whilst my uncles were studying mining engineering.
Right.
And then went back to Ghana.
Gotcha.
And then I was in Ghana until like 12, 13 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you came, you're saying you left the UK and then you went to Saudi. You spent some time in Saudi.
Correct.
Yeah.
That journey is all to do about work and career and realizing that the whole kind of rat race thing wasn't for me.
Right. Gotcha.
And that's what really led to the move. So I don't know if you want to talk about career, but
yeah, well, there's so much to talk about, but let's see if we can keep it as cohesive as possible.
Okay.
Because I want to talk about marriage, divorce, relationships. But I'm sure that's going to interfere with the timeline of you traveling as well or leaving the country.
It's all kind of intertwined. So
gotcha.
I'm one of these. I don't know whether I'm a result of certain cultural changes that were happening.
Okay.
So everybody has a different cultural understanding. We all grow up differently, depending on which country we're in, the cultural norms. And if you think back to sort of like in the 80s and in the 90s, you've really now got the onset of, girl power,
Right.
all of these things happening in Europe. And, I think you start to get, the understanding of what the kind of feminism is and independence and things like that.
Right.
And now,
but did this interfere with your job or your relationships later?
It kind of interferes with both.
With both, okay. So let's sort of give it a timeline. Mm-hmm. So your career is in what? What do you do? Or what did you do to lead you to Saudi?
Okay, so I'm a marketeer.
Okay, gotcha.
So essentially, I'm in advertising, marketing, branding. Officially, I'm a brand strategist. That's what I do. So
gotcha.
I'm the guy behind the brand that you love, and I'm the reason why you go out and buy things. Essentially,
yes, the guy that manipulates our asses, man.
Yeah. So I'm in advertising and marketing and branding.
Right.
And I've been in that industry since 1999.
Okay.
And I fell into it due to the original .com boom. So I'm going back to, InfoSeek, Lycos, AOL, when all of this happened in the UK. And at the time I was working in publishing. I was actually selling advertising in a classified newspaper in London.
Okay.
And when they launched their online division, myself and a colleague of mine became the first digital advertising guys on the whole paper.
Nice.
So that was back in 99, and I did that for a couple of years, and then, 2000, 2001, and that's when the dot-com bubble burst, right? Yeah. And that was all around 9/11 as well.
Yeah.
So all of these things were happening around the same time.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of huge things, big world-changing events that occurred around then. So at that point, when you first got married, how old were you?
So I actually, by that time, by the time I had started my career officially, I had already had children.
Wow.
Right.
And so how old?
So this goes.
It's always like I like to understand where a man's mentality is when he first decided or when he got thrust into marriage or to be associated with a woman, because sometimes it doesn't always lead to marriage.
Right.
It might lead to a kid.
Right.
Might lead to heartbreak, but it doesn't necessarily lead to
It's a really good question. So with me, what happened was it was the intertwining of two different cultures.
Okay.
So being from Ghana, being from West Africa, being raised in a certain type of way, but at the same time living in the UK where everybody's much more individualism. Right. So what happened was I actually met a young lady who was also from Ghana.
Gotcha.
Right? So now we're going back to 1993, 1994.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you were how old, you remember?
And I was 22, 23 years old.
Okay, cool. Okay.
To give you I graduated high school in 1987.
Yeah.
At 16.
Yeah, same. 16 was when I graduated high school as well.
Right. So by the time I'm kind of like 20, we're talking in the 90s. So, and because we were from the same culture, as we started to have a long-term relationship, it was deemed that we should just get married. Right. And I was actually in a traditional marriage. I had a traditional Ghanaian West African marriage.
Right.
So my first wife and I weren't actually legally married. But we had a traditional marriage, which in some ways is actually more important.
Right. Of course.
So, and so my first two children came from that relationship, which lasted 7 years.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. So how old was I when I first had a child? I was 23/24.
Ooh, that's too early, man.
Yeah.
That's when I had my first marriage at 23, 24. I don't think men are ready at that point.
I don't think men in the Western world are ready.
Right.
So, as you know, traditionally, people got married early.
Yeah, of course.
Right? And but then there was a lot of reasons why.
Yes.
Because, it was your marriage wasn't just to your woman, it was to the village, the family, the whole thing.
Yes.
And also life expectancy was a lot shorter.
Yeah.
So, you kind of, you get with someone, you get married, you have children, but as we live in the West.
And one thing I got to add to that, women understood the role of building with a man at that point. Women weren't waiting at the finish line, waiting till you to build yourself. Right. You understood that, hey, this is our time. Yep. We got to build together. You take a chance on the man.
Absolutely.
And because you got good references from his parents and your parents, he's a good man. He's a good man, hard-working young man. Yeah. This is what.
Which was just very much how my first marriage was.
Yeah.
Very much. Yeah. I wasn't. I mean, I was doing okay. I had a job. I was in a career, but I had nowhere at the finish line.
Right, of
at
course.
all.
Exactly.
I was very much still a rough stone.
Yeah.
Not a polished ashlar at all.
But back then they would people would look at you and they would go, okay, he came from good family.
Right.
Reputation was everything. Good reputation. His mother and father, they're hardworking. They're not lawyers. They're not doctors, but they're hardworking, honest, and they never went to prison. They stayed out. Mother isn't
good stock was
good.
important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Reputation back then was vital for the bloodline, for the family. So that was important for us to uphold that. Today, no one gives a shit. No one cares. No one even looks at your parents. It's all about individualism.
No.
But you got opportunities at a good woman because the family reputation,
Absolutely.
your previous family, your mother and your
Absolutely.
father, your brothers, your sisters, they were the ones that carried value.
Yeah,
And that's why.
And I think there are instances where things tumble down, right? Yeah. So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that I actually came from a pretty decent family.
Right.
My mother has a very, very strong reputation in our culture. And my father was actually secretary to the Ghanaian ambassador to the UK.
Okay.
So, growing up, in the UK, I spent a lot of time in St. John's Wood and some good parts of the UK. At the same time, my mother and father were divorced when I was quite young. Okay. So, but as you say, that reputation, that family name, and that's good standing enabled me to meet a pretty decent woman.
Good woman,
right?
yeah.
The mother of my eldest children, my two eldest children, she's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and the reasons why that relationship ended up ending was because of that new modern society, right? That independence, I've got my own place and I don't need to live with you and I can, do things by myself. And then all of a sudden she's moving out and taking my children with her. And very rapidly, a relationship can break down because of that. Yeah. Whereas, if it wasn't for that new modern way of that kind of gynocentric feminist type of thinking,
right,
in my view,
in
my humble opinion, that relationship probably would have stood the test of time.
Yeah.
Because the foundation was there.
Yeah. No, a lot of people don't realize what it has done to a lot of marriages, man. So fast forward, you're now decided, okay, you're going to move to Saudi. You're going to get a job over there. How long you spent in Saudi?
Okay, so that's real fast forward. So now,
okay, that's too fast. All right, well, bring me back.
That's
bring
real
me back.
fast forward.
Bring me back.
So sometime after my initial kind of marriage kind of broke down.
Right.
So now I'm co-parenting from a distance my two eldest daughters.
Okay.
I meet another young lady.
Gotcha.
Right? This time, this young lady, essentially, we met through the church.
Okay.
Okay. So another good
Traditional.
foundation.
Yeah. Right.
You think that's another good foundation.
Right.
But again, with that, we lived together for some years. And then with that relationship, I had another two children.
Okay.
Okay. So this time, another daughter and a son, which is an amazing blessing for me.
Right.
But to cut a long story short, that also broke down.
Right.
But in that relationship, I was not actually married, not legally or traditionally or anything.
Okay.
That lady was from the Caribbean.
Okay.
But we met through the church.
Right.
And so now, fast forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again.
So now we're around 2005. By this time, I've been in my career a good 10, 15 years.
Right.
And the company I was working for was just actually acquired by Google.
Okay.
So at the time, I had been planning to start my own business. And at that time, I decided to take the redundancy package that was offered.
Okay.
So I took that package, cut my losses, took some redundancy money, and started my first agency business.
Yeah.
That was back in 2005. And I ran that business for 5 years with a couple of partners. And then I decided to look at an opportunity here in the Middle East, which they were not really up for.
Oh, okay.
So that brings us to 2014.
Cool.
Actually, no, 2011.
Right.
Spent some time in Pakistan.
Oh, okay.
Came back to the UK, and then eventually we set up our office in Saudi Arabia. That was around July, August 2014.
Okay. All right. My brother is well-traveled. You've experienced a lot of other cultures. Having experienced other cultures, having gone to other places in the world, you've seen the changes that are occurring not only, socially with women, but also with and your profession. What made you move to Dubai. Can we move forward that fast yet?
We can move forward that fast.
Okay.
The Saudi Arabia story is actually all connected to the Dubai story.
Okay.
The move to Saudi Arabia was purely strategic so that we could set up in Dubai.
Oh, okay.
So back in 2014, it was a lot harder to set up a business in Dubai.
Yeah, okay.
It was a lot harder, and even to enter the Middle East. Now you can come here, and there are so many of these, business setup companies. You can literally just pay a fee and
24 hours.
24 hours, man. That never used to be the case,
Yeah.
and it used to cost a lot more.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, the strategy was we set up a joint venture with another agency in Saudi.
Okay.
We ran that joint venture for 2 years, and the revenue we got from that we used to set up the business in Dubai.
Okay, got
So
it.
in late 2015, 2016, we set up Explore here in Dubai. Explore is the name of my agency.
Right.
So that's how that move was. And the answer to your question is essentially the barrier to entry. So in the 5 years that I ran a business in the UK, it was not possible for us to get a contract with a single top-level brand.
I see, okay.
A single top-level brand, not one. And that's because the agency business in the UK and in Europe, there are barriers to entry. It's basically an old boys club, right? They closed the door, and there's a lot of restrictions there. Coming to the UAE and the Middle East, to be honest, it's much more of a meritocracy. As long as you know your stuff, you'll get business here.
Yeah. I've actually found that.
Yeah.
I found that.
You know your biscuits.
Yeah.
You'll get business here.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you're from. As you know, everybody here in the UAE essentially is from somewhere else.
Yeah, true.
Only 15% Emirati.
Exactly.
So everybody here is from someone else, from somewhere else. So
Imagine when I came 16 years ago, 17 years ago now, it was 30% Emirati, and now it's only 15% Emirati.
wow, that's the growth.
Yeah, that's the growth, man. People are coming to
They're
Dubai.
coming. Yeah. And they're coming for that reason.
Yeah.
The meritocracy, the opportunities. I won't necessarily mention some of the brands that I work for. I don't know whether I should or not. But
It doesn't matter, man. We're open.
okay,
It's totally up to you.
I mean, between Saudi Arabia
Right.
and the UAE, we have done work with Mazda, Peugeot, Nissan, TCL,
Right.
Samsung,
Yeah,
top level brands.
yeah.
And right now, Tilda Rice, we're working with.
Huge.
So
It's a huge Indian brand.
yeah, again,
Yeah.
Tilda's actually British.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that, man. I thought it was.
yeah, Tilda is actually a British
Maybe I'm
brand.
getting it confused with Tada. Tada?
That's Tata. Yeah.
Tata, yeah,
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 that's the
okay.
automotive. But Tilda is a British brand.
Right.
But we would never have been able to work with them in Britain.
Boss, this is another thing. I got to work with Microsoft. I got to work with Caterpillar. These are massive multinational brands.
Absolutely.
Merck Serrano drug company.
Yep.
I tons and tons of other brands. I would never ever think about getting that exposure if I were back in the Cayman Islands.
Right.
And this was photography. This was me helping them with marketing campaign as a photographer.
Yes.
I would never even come close to those people. But over here in Dubai, I had those opportunities. Man.
Yeah. And the meritocracy is what's attracted us, and I guess most people here.
Yeah.
By the time I had actually moved to Saudi Arabia,
Right.
I was actually married. My first long-term relationship,
Okay.
this goes back to 93, 94,
Right.
lasted 7 years.
Right.
And with that lady, I had 2 beautiful daughters.
Right.
Okay. And that relationship broke down.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years later, I got into another relationship
Right.
with a lady from the Caribbean. That lasted another 7 years.
Okay.
Okay. We had a son and a daughter.
2 more kids. Yeah.
Okay. That relationship broke down. Now, what happened then was a life decision that I made, which has some pros and cons.
Okay.
Because I had 3 daughters, I have 3 daughters.
Okay.
And at the time, it was incumbent on me. I needed to have them have a certain perception of their father.
Got it.
I was no longer with their mother, but I didn't want them to see me as just some man that's going from relationship to relationship to relationship.
Got it.
So for me, it made sense for me to get married.
Right.
So the lady I was having a relationship with actually had 5 children of her own. So, and the reason why I felt that was a sensible decision at the time
Okay, I gotta hear this.
was because I knew I didn't want any more children.
Okay,
So,
all right.
so if I was then to get into a relationship with a woman who had never been married or never had children of her own, the likelihood of her wanting to have children with me would have been very high. And that's something that I knew I didn't want to do.
Right. Did you have to support any of those 5 children?
To a greater or lesser extent, yes. Because, after getting married, and this was a proper legal marriage in a church, everything, right? And
5? You a baby mama with 5 kids?
yes, I had 4 children of my own.
I know.
But the difference is that my children didn't live with me, but hers did. So I ended up being basically a stepfather to 5 children.
Yeah.
Although their fathers were around, I'm not going to, make it seem as if their fathers were not involved in their lives.
Right.
Well, so, but
I'm intrigued by this because this is always the dilemma when it comes to, okay, well, I don't think in today's day and age a man should ever marry a woman with kids.
I agree.
The risk isn't worth it, right? Especially under Western laws.
Mm-hmm.
So the argument is, well, does that mean she should never get married? And so the major argument online is she can get married, but only to a man that has kids already.
Right, which was...
But think about that. I know you're going to say exactly what I'm going to say. So you're saying that the man who's already had kids, you've already had 4.
Right.
So you invested all that money into your seed. And just imagine they weren't young enough, because by then you were finished providing for the kids when you got your 3 or 4 kids?
Here's the but for me. Okay. I agree with the premise that a man should not marry a woman who already has children.
Okay.
Okay.
Whether he has kids or not, or...
Whether he has children or not.
Okay,
and
cool.
I'm speaking from experience.
Cool.
The provisos are thus.
Yes.
The number one proviso is the age of those children.
Gotcha.
That's the number one proviso.
Yeah.
Okay. So where it fell negatively on me is because she still had children that were younger.
Below the age of 18.
Below the age of 18. Right. So I default became that father figure. Even though their fathers were in their lives, I become that person.
You are in the house.
I'm in the house.
Right.
Right? So everything I'm in the house.
Yes. That's the...
We all know what that means, right?
Yes. You're paying somewhere, somehow.
So that's the proviso. Yeah. I don't think that it's wrong to marry a woman with children as long as you're not the one that's responsible for those children.
But it's impossible if you are in the house.
Even if you're in the house, if they're still at home and they are 18, 19, 20,
right,
you have an element of responsibility.
Yeah, of course.
But you're not raising them.
Yeah.
You can have an influence on them.
But it's your house. I don't want you to come into the house this late. Don't tell me how that. Don't talk to my child like that. Did you go through this?
I think here's the difference. I think when a child is 18, 19, 20, then you come in and out as you want.
Yeah,
see, it changes.
If they're that old.
Yeah, but that's my point. They should be.
Yeah, of course. So
right?
I get it. But I'm talking in your case. They weren't that old when you
honestly,
met this
I went through every single stereotypical scenario of being a stepfather. Right. I had it.
Yeah.
You're not my dad. You can't tell me what to do. You're on the hook for responsibility.
Yes.
But you have no authority or credit.
Yeah.
It's truly a hapless task.
Yes.
So now, for the record, do I regret it? No, I don't. I don't regret anything I do. I learn from every single decision that I make. I don't regret it. But at the same time, if the question is, would you do it again?
Yeah.
The answer would still be no.
Hell no. Hell no.
The answer would be no, because.
And so, I just so that you guys know that I want to finish this one point. Even if the father has kids and he then get involved with another woman who has kids, his responsibility just multiplied because he's providing for his previous kids if they were not
I think I will even add to that.
What?
I think so. And again, this is all about life lessons for me.
Right. I haven't done it, so
right. And if I can impart any kind of lesson, if you're a man who's in a similar situation as myself or as I was, as I said, I felt it would be to the benefit of my daughters for them to see their father as a responsible man and not just a man going from woman to woman to woman, which is why I decided to marry a woman, okay? And One. Then deciding to marry a woman with children was because I knew I didn't want any children,
Right.
any further children.
I get that.
Two. Hold on.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. It doesn't work. And what happened was my own children were actually the ones treated like stepchildren. Do you understand? Because my own children were not in my house. In my house were her children.
Yes.
So my children became the stepchildren. So the one goal that I actually wanted actually backfired. Oh. And that's the lesson that I want to impart.
I never saw that coming.
Right.
I never saw that
Yeah, because
coming.
they actually resented the fact that, so, whatever happened with you and mum, you couldn't sort that out, but you can be the father to someone else's children. They didn't see it that, he is responsible, really. No. Children, it doesn't matter whether you're in the house or you're not. If you are there for your children and you support your children will see you as their father. Yeah. Don't think that marrying another woman is going to give you that kind of credibility, because it doesn't. In fact, it will just erode the relationship you have with your own children.
Oh, that's deep, bro. That's
not,
deep.
That
is deep.
Not just on a financial level,
yeah,
but on an emotional
level.
and spiritual level also.
Oh.
And it's taken a long time since it's taken a long time for me to repair that with my children.
Wow.
And it's only since they've been, and to give you an idea, my eldest daughter is 30 years old. Right. And my youngest child, my son, will be 22 this year. So in that time, I've been able to communicate and get them to understand a number of things, right?
Yeah.
But in the dark ages, let's call them the dark ages. During the dark ages, they didn't see that.
Yeah. Gentlemen, this is why you need this sort of knowledge.
They didn't see
you
that.
need it.
Yeah.
Jesus, man. All right, listen. The relationship is one part, but I want to go deeper with you. I want to. You have a rich life. You've had a rich life, and it continues. And I just want to basically bring more of that to guys. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, what do you see now as far as your age, and you're in a new country? But no intentions of getting married again, or you would look.
Now,
at
here's the thing.
Yeah.
I actually really do want to get married again.
Okay. So you see the value in marriage, just like I do. I mean, I get it.
But what I understand now are the fundamentals of a married situation for a modern man. You see, this world that we live in, and I'm going to use this term, and I think you will understand this term, it's gynocentric.
Right.
So
I teach this all the time, my brother.
It's become modern.
Yeah.
But it's become modern for women.
Yes.
So what do I mean by that? I mean that men are expected to fulfill every single traditional role. Modern society has not changed for men in that sense. Yeah. It's only changed for women.
Yes.
So what I'm doing right now is I'm manufacturing a framework for a life for a modern, mature man.
Right.
So because we all understand the rules for a modern woman.
Yeah, of course.
A modern woman is basically my body, my choice, do what I want, work if I want, don't work if I want, have children if I want, I can delete children if I want. I can they can do anything they want.
Yes.
There's no accepted modern boundaries for a modern man.
Yeah.
What are those accepted boundaries? In fact, if we take on the reverse, I watched a podcast video that I can't even remember. I'll give you an example of what I mean by the reverse, okay? If it's okay for a woman to say she doesn't want a child,
right,
it should be okay for a man to say, I don't want to support the child.
Oh, absolutely. That's standard. Right? Standard.
That would be the equal and opposite.
Right.
That doesn't exist. Now, thankfully, we've gone past that stage.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about supporting children and stuff anymore. But to answer your question,
hold on. What do you mean by that? Meaning you're older than you're talking about your particular.
Yeah,
self.
I mean,
Okay.
we're not.
Gotcha.
When I say children, really, I mean young children.
Gotcha.
I think once your children are over 18, 20, that type of thing.
You're talking about your example.
There.
Okay, I just wanted to make that clear.
Once you've passed that benchmark, things they don't become easier. They become harder in a different way. Yeah. Right? So the answer to your question is I'm legacy building now.
Right.
So everything that I think about right now is, okay, which country am I going to decide to build my family home?
Okay.
Being from Ghana, I have land in Ghana. I could build in Ghana. I'm not sure if I want to do that. So where do I want to build my family home? That home where my children could say, this is my father's house.
Right.
That's my bedroom. And it's going to be there in trust for perpetuity. It's always going to remain in the family. That's something that I didn't benefit from my father.
Right.
My father didn't leave a family home that I can get up right now and go to that house and say, that's my family home, right? Thankfully, my mother's been able to do that.
Okay.
But as a father, I need to be able to do that for my children. So everything I'm thinking about right now is how do I get to do that, you know? So where do I take my business from this point? Which country do I then expand into? You know, where do I buy land? Where do I build? What type of house do I want? I want to be off-grid. So I want to make sure that I've got my own borehole for water, my own electricity generator, wind turbine. You know, I want to be off-grid because...
You don't want the government interfering.
No, no.
Yeah, I think that's all of our dreams, man.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much the same way. Me and quite a few of my friends now, we're looking at where can we find a good 3 or 4 acres of land.
Right.
Good fertile land where we can get out there and, you know, grow a few crops, hire a few people
but
to
also,
do the grunt work,
but also
still
be able
enjoy
to
that.
generate revenue
Yeah,
remotely.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And we have our own small little houses because who wants a big ass house when you're freaking 50, 60 years old?
No.
I don't want to go up and downstairs 24 hours just to go and get some food. I got to go downstairs 2-story. Why am I need that? I want a nice bungalow, 1 level, walk there. I want to spend as much of my time outdoors, right?
Yeah.
Enjoying fresh air.
I have a slightly different vision.
Yeah,
but,
this is my
but
vision.
the principle is the same.
Yeah, the principle is the same, right? As long as I got a good internet connection,
Right.
and I want a workout area where I have my weights and a yoga mat.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah, these are the things that are important.
And me and my boys, we all get together every day. We work out. We go for a walk. We got either wives that cook some good food, or we got somebody from the village that comes in and cook our food on a daily basis. That's it. That's all I want.
Yeah.
Either in some Latin American country, some African country, some Asian country, just out in the countryside.
Yep.
That's my life.
To be honest with you, I have a few places on the radar, and probably top of my list is South Africa right now.
Yeah, boss, you and I got to talk about that because I'm literally just looking at buying a plot somewhere, and a couple of my sisters, I mean, they do very well. Yeah. And if we're earning US dollars,
right,
and we're not spending in any,
we're not living crazy.
Exactly, because right now, I mean, we've done pretty much everything. I mean, I just want to live simple now, man.
Yeah, well, you know, once children are kind of out the way, and you've worked in places, and you've traveled, and you've driven this car and that car, and you've been to that bar and that restaurant, and you've done this, and you know, it's like
you've done it.
Everything, your vision is just changes.
This is what a lot of people don't get.
Yeah, no, your vision changes.
Yes.
It should do.
Yes,
it should do. I mean, if you're at a certain age and you're still caught up in keeping up with the Joneses and the Instagrammers, and I mean, I'm on Instagram every day. It's my business. But I'm not on Instagram.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
I'm on TikTok every day, but I'm not on TikTok.
Yeah. I get you 100%.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm on YouTube. I'm on YouTube, but I'm not on YouTube.
Yes. Right. And that's the difference. It's the thing of, you know, being in the world but not of it.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. So you see why he's in marketing? He got everything. He got a perfect way to say everything, man.
And I think that's one way that you should look at everything in your life.
Yes.
There are some things you have to be in.
Yeah.
But don't be of it, right? There are some things you have to be in.
Yeah.
Social media have to be in it, but don't be of it, right?
And I'm pushing this AI. I'm bringing out this AI program right now to help people create content, and I get a lot of pushback. Oh, you got to be careful with this whole AI, and it's a tool.
It's a tool.
I am using it. I am not of it. You know what I mean? I still keep my brain fresh, but it's helping me to do things that I was not able to do before.
Right.
This is the way I use it.
My whole thing with AI right now,
Right.
if I'm just a humble guy,
Yeah.
but if I could advise anybody who's thinking about AI and is reticent or reticent or has a fear of it,
hesitant, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Don't be.
Yeah.
You can't be. You cannot afford to be.
Thank you.
It's like going back to 98. and saying you're afraid of the internet.
Exactly. Thank you.
That would be the mistake. And I think rather than being afraid of it, AI is going to change so many people's lives. And giving you an example. So just speaking about Africa, okay? Right. There are still parts of Africa, parts of South America, parts of the world where they're just inaccessible.
Yeah.
It's not that they don't have resources. It's inaccessible. Yeah. Okay. As a result, there are still children that don't have teachers.
Yeah.
Now, AI can change their lives in the sense that they can literally have a teacher there that they can engage with, speak to, and they can learn the same things as everybody everywhere else in the world. Exactly. They can learn their MBAs, they can learn engineering, they can learn to code, they can learn how to,
everything.
Finance, everything.
Everything.
And those children that don't have a physical teacher in front of them are going to be more advanced and more educated and smarter and wealthier than people that live in the West. And the reason why, because people that live in the West have a lot of restrictions. Yeah. They have government restrictions, they have rules, regulations, they have this. Some kid in the village that's got a solar-powered laptop and he's got access to AI, he's got no restrictions. He can learn everything he wants. Yeah. If he wants to test something, he can go outside and test it. If he wants to build a robot, he can go and build a robot, right? We are going to be so left behind if we don't kind of just
get our shit together as far as learning this stuff.
And everything that we're doing right now, you have to ask the question, how can AI make this more efficient? Yeah. How can it make it more profitable? How can it make it quicker for me to enter into that business? Yes. Right?
These are the questions. That's the thing that's important. Speed. You got to get to market as fast as possible. Yeah. Because if you're thinking about it, somebody else or 10 other people have already thought about it, and if they're ahead of you...
And that was okay. Yeah. Up until 5 years ago. Yeah. That was okay. Because that's always been the case, right? They say great minds think alike, right? Absolutely. So if you've got a business idea, somebody in the world has the same idea, but they may not have access to the resources that you have. But AI changes everything, man. Yeah. Now they've got everything.
Yeah. So what do you see? Where do you see the best opportunities for... Let's start with young men now. If you were advising your son, how old is your son now?
My son's going to be 22.
Okay. He's entering the world. He's just starting. What would you advise him as far as has he chosen a profession yet?
Yeah, so my son is pretty much into engineering. Okay. He's the brains in the family. Okay. So he's pretty much into engineering.
Okay, cool. So as far as advising him, how would you give him advice on moving forward into this world? Getting married at what age?
I would not advise him to get married below the age of 35, 40.
Yeah. Wouldn't happen. That high? I say 30.
Well, I mean...
Depends on how much established
but definitely not before 30.
But you're going to also advise him to get a prenup.
Absolutely.
Put all his assets...
The funny thing is his mother's a lawyer, so I'm sure that would happen.
Cool. Put everything in a trust, make sure his assets are secure before he even... Definitely. Think about pulling that trigger. I teach these guys all the time.
I actually share quite a lot of your videos with him.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah,
good, man,
I actually send him videos on WhatsApp.
Awesome.
And he sends me what do they call it? Laughing emojis all the time.
Oh, yeah. Okay, all right, cool. So yeah, as long as he protects himself, that's good. But as far as you know, you sort of touched on where we are, but advising men, because we are fighting against a system, a gynocentric system. Where do we, as men in our age group, sort of focus our world right now? Because what I'm seeing, especially with women, but I'm seeing 55, 60 people losing their jobs. Right. These are high-level corporate executives. These are people who companies have gone through serious transitions. These are the people that are taking the biggest paychecks, right? Yep. Because they've been with the company 10, 15, 30, 20 years, and they've built themselves. Now companies are saying, okay, time to get rid of Bill, Mary. They've been here long enough, and their salaries, we can get 30-year-old in here with AI knowledge.
Well, they don't even need the 30-year-old.
Yeah, exactly. They need a 20. They could do a 20. Someone half their age.
They don't even need that person. That's the thing. That person, they don't even actually need the person.
I know. Yeah. But if they wanted a person, they could pay them half the amount. And if they come with AI training and know how to handle today's technology, that person's out of a job. What do you now tell these guys that are left high and dry?
Like our age or my son's
age? Our age.
Our age. I think For me, how would I put this? I would say monetize yourself. Yeah. Monetize yourself. And what do I mean by that? Because in my opinion, because society is now so adverse to what we are as men, it's very difficult for us to find, let's say, wealth generating opportunities in that society. So therefore, you have to almost make yourself a society unto yourself. Oh. Right? You've got
I'm making you cook, buddy. I'm making you cook.
You've got to become a society unto yourself. What do I mean by that? You've got to create an area whereby you are the rule of law. You set the boundaries when you work, where you work, how you work. You set the boundaries of where you live, where you travel. If you have to, literally, you have to create a situation for yourself. And I think that men our age, we're going to be, how can I say, we're going to be like almost like islands. No man is an island, but we have to create ourselves into an island that's connected. So there's going to be almost a solar system or galaxy or universe of men like us around the world. We'll be interconnected through technology. We'll be supporting each other through technology, and we'll be helping each other to create a whole new world that is almost detached from the actual world. So monetize yourself. What do I mean by that? And I think, Paul, you're a perfect example of that.
I've been teaching and I've been pushing this idea that if you do not get the knowledge out of here and digitalize it, that's exactly what he's saying in a different form.
It could be, if you were an engineer, right? Let's say you worked for the airline for 25 years and now you've been made redundant, or now all of that information should be a book, should be a manual, should be a guide for younger people that are coming into engineering. You should be doing whatever. If you were a chef, if you were a bricklayer, a mechanic, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're a mechanic, all that 50 years, 30, 25 years of information, it's now a how-to guide for, because you know what it is? All of these women that say they don't need men, they need a mechanic. All of these women say they don't need men, they need a man's ear. I mean, I think that a lot of us men will end up being counselors for these women that don't need men, honestly.
That's a good way to put it.
Right?
Oh, man.
So there's so many, but I think monetize yourself, create yourself, make yourself into your own nation. And as you said, that's your plot of land with your little house and your business, which is you and your team around you. And I think a lot of us will be interconnected. I could be here, you could be in the Caribbean, another man will be in South Africa, another man will be in Ghana, and we're all connected doing our thing. But we're individuals.
Exactly.
Right?
We're combining, we're pooling our knowledge, we're pooling our
If you
resources.
don't monetize yourself, somebody else is going to use you. And also, but I think to be able to do that, your sense of what value is has to change.
Yes. Oh, gosh, yes.
Right? So
I learned that a long time ago, man.
So it's not, how much am I earning an hour? How much am I earning? No, it's, am I on the right track to build the legacy that I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
It's not an hourly rate anymore. It's all of these little things that I've heard in the past, they now start to make sense, right? I spent a lot of time doing consulting, okay? And one of the things we have to teach ourselves as a consultant is to demonstrate your value.
Right.
So, for example, and I think you must have heard this before, right? Somebody wants you to do a video for them, right? Or do some editing for them, right? And you tell them it's $10,000.
Yeah.
So really, $10,000, how long is it going to take? 3 days. Hold on. You want me to pay $10,000 and it's only taking you 3 days? Yeah. How did you work that out? That's $3,000 a day. No, it isn't. It isn't. You're paying $10,000 for 25 years of experience.
Exactly.
That's what enables me to do it in 3 days.
Exactly.
You're paying $10,000 for 25 years of experience.
Yes.
Not for 3 days of work. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah. And
that is that sense of value.
Yes. And I will break it down even more simple.
Okay.
Because my professor, my martial arts instructor, my professor taught me this a long time ago. He said, he was talking to one of the students and he said, well, professor, I don't have any college degree. It was a younger guy. And he was saying, I don't know how else to make money. I'm only 24. And he said, professor looked at him and said, how many languages you speak?
Right.
He said, actually 2, Spanish and English. He said, that is an asset. And the young man said, well, sir, I don't understand what you mean. I said, you know how many people only speak one language?
One language.
And the boy was still confused. He said, go online and find where they can teach, where you can teach Spanish or speak English or teach English. See how much dollars they're paying per hour. And immediately one of the other students went on.
Was doing it, yeah.
$26 an hour. Professor said, there you go. You cannot go to a fast food joint and get $26 an hour.
No, you
back
can't.
Then. He said that is double minimum wage right
back
now.
then that's like $50 an hour,
exactly.
basically. Yeah.
And the young man's eyes just lit up because
monetize yourself.
But he didn't understand his value. You can walk, right? And he said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. He said, good. How many old people need help walking around and getting to the supermarket? And I never even thought about all this shit, right? Yeah. And he said, how many older people that you know in the community that needs help or somebody to run here, run there?
Right.
You have 2 legs. That's money. And I was just like, wow. And then he said, I'm just giving you those 2 examples. Now you go and find out more about your value.
Yeah.
And this is what I find that most people don't understand about value. They only see that, oh, I don't have a house, I don't have an education, I don't have this. Your value lies in everything that you have accumulated in knowledge.
Absolutely.
Throughout your entire lifetime. And so us, old foot, we have accumulated massive amounts of information. We just got to learn how to digitalize it.
Right.
Whether it's through video, whether it's through courses, whether it's through audio, it doesn't matter. Get it out there. Writing. AI can write a book for you. Just tell it what you want it to write and it will put it in perfect sentences. That's it. So yeah. We just need to understand that, hey, we've reached the point in our life now where we're no longer wanted by the company that we've been working for. Start creating residual income. How do I do that? I need to create digital products.
And it's actually easier than ever.
Oh gosh.
Now it's
Dude, I mean, you haven't seen what I'm putting together right now, but I'm gonna demonstrate it to you. But I'm gonna launch it hopefully in the next week.
Okay,
so,
amazing.
Yeah, if you guys want to know more about it, please drop me an email on paul@askanolderman.com, and I will send you a link so that you guys can get the course when it's ready. It's going to be cheap. Trust me. I'm not here to rip people off. But that's just a segue in for me to...
it's going to be of good value.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Shouldn't say it's going to be cheap, right?
No.
That's, you see, the market. This is why I need
It's going to be a great value situation.
Great value situation, right? The thing is, I got a minor degree in marketing. Right? I had a marketing firm, but I've been out of it now for 20 years. But yeah, he's right. Good.
Yeah,
you to remind me, man.
And I think value is the watchword, and personal value. The value of your knowledge, and experience, because it is actually invaluable. The thing about the society that we have now,
right.
There are no longer opportunities to gain life experience.
Yeah,
it's so crazy. So it's when you think about it, right? So the younger people now, they won't have to go through the trials and tribulations that we went through, which is great in some ways, right? But in other ways, it means they won't have life experience. So life experience becomes really valuable. People think that AI will be able to do everything, it knows everything, but it doesn't have life experience. So, it's still just a tool.
It is.
It's still just a tool. I've got some thoughts about how long it will only be a tool for.
Oh gosh, yeah. I've been telling them
I think we got 10 years max.
I don't even think it's that long. The way it's moving now.
Yeah, I think 2030 really is a line in the sand.
I'm telling you, yes.
It is.
I say by the next 4 or 5 years, man, you're gonna just see this thing. Because I have the paid version of ChatGPT.
Yeah.
They just upgraded it again 2 days ago.
Yeah.
What it's doing now, it's phenomenal.
Yeah. I really have to be careful that I don't start having a relationship with mine.
Trust me. My wife is concerned that I sit there, because I sit there sometimes and I have a full-on existential, that's the word? Conversation with my ChatGPT.
Yep. Have you named yours?
Have
you named yours yet?
Ingrid.
Ingrid. Okay.
I just do it just to frustrate my wife, because she's like, "But you have me here. I knew that." Like, baby, don't upset her. Don't upset her.
Yeah. We have to do these things.
But the point is that I am having conversations with such depth with this thing. It pushes my brain.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are concerned that it's killing my brain. No,
The opposite is
I
true.
debate with it with massive degree, and I'm practicing because I want to be able to push my brain to a point where, hey, I can converse with anyone, and I don't lose that ability. You know what I mean?
It's a really good point, actually.
Yeah.
You know, because if you've been in a situation where you haven't been exposed to a lot of, you don't know bankers.
Yeah.
You don't know chefs.
Yeah.
You don't know football players. You don't know that. This platform, philosophers, you don't know, if you say to yourself, right, okay, I want to start getting into that crowd where I want to go where the bankers go, or I want to go where the lawyers go.
Yeah.
You want to learn lawyer speak or banker speak?
Yeah.
Speak to AI.
Yeah.
Have that conversation
Yeah.
and be honest. Look, I'm thinking about opening a business that appeals to legal people. So I want to start having a conversation with you in that type of dialogue. I want to know the watchwords, the catchphrases. Let's speak to me as if I'm a trainee lawyer,
Yeah.
And it will do that
Yeah.
in your day-to-day. And all of a sudden, after a month or a few weeks or so, you will have that lawyer speak.
Yeah.
When you go to that bar or restaurant and you're sitting down with those lawyers, they'll say, "Oh, so how long have you been a lawyer?" "Oh, actually, I'm not a lawyer."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
These are the
you'll
things
be able to present properly.
a lot of people don't
need to
understand
understand how to use that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the problem. A lot of people just don't understand how to use it. I'm going to give you that knowledge. I'm going to help you. All right?
Amazing.
So, my brother Lawrence, man, this has been an awesome conversation,
It has been.
boss.
It's been a lot more fun than I thought it was.
You're sitting here thinking, well, what are we going to talk about? But you see how easy this is, man? These are the conversations men should have on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
With other men. Depth. Let's explore each other's brains.
And it really is important.
Yeah, vital, man. So thank you so much. Thank you, my
been a
brother.
pleasure.
Absolute pleasure. Guys, I'm sure you're going to want him to come back. Yeah? They'll make me know, man.
I know. They're very honest. I see the comments.
Straight up.
I'm so afraid of the comments.
No, man.
But we'll see what happens.
I'm sure it's going to be good. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me another session with Older Man and Lawrence. And listen, always remember, whenever in doubt,
Ask an older man.
there we go. All right, guys. I'll see you in the next one.
See you.
Cheers.